Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from Best Western Hotel here in Upper Hill in Nairobi. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, the Dadas Show is created to offer a safe platform for women across all creeds and within our borders to discuss issues pertaining to their lifestyle, to their well-being, to their families, and everything that affects them one way or another. So it's always an honor to have women come and share their experiences in a safe and an open platform. Now, for those of us who grew up in the 90s, I'm sure you must have bumped into a show known as the Gilmore Girls. Now, this show featured a mother-daughter duo who had a relationship that mimicked one like that between best friends. And of course, most of us were jealous. If we were not jealous, we were wondering, is that even possible? Now, according to the Journal of Neuroscience, which studied and examined mother-daughter relationships, found that amongst every parent-child relationship, the mother-daughter bond is strongest. Apparently, even stronger than between a father and a son, which of course is caused by the deep emotion that both mothers and daughters feel, both positive and negative, which means that at times parents, mothers could be enjoying and it could be sunshine and butterflies, and other times it could be thunderstorms and hailstorms. Joining me today are a mother-daughter duo that have found a working formula for them, and so many others in my audience who will tell us how exactly are they able to maintain a healthy and loving relationship. We'll also interact with a skilled professional who will be able to give us tidbits and strategies on how to get along and improve our mother-daughter relationships. As always, we welcome you at home to join us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach me on my socials at Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. Before we jump into today's exciting conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
The mother-daughter relationship is known to be stronger than any other parent-offspring relationship. And this is one relationship that helps a woman carve out every other relationship in life. As soon as the daughter is born, her mother develops a strong bond with her. As the daughter grows, the relationship changes, but the feelings remain the same. Some mother-daughter relationships can have a twisted bond right from the beginning, while some can take a difficult route when the daughter starts growing.
Previously, she wasn't so easy to open up on such because she used to think it is not right to have such a conversation with a parent. But I used to show her or to be very friendly to make her understand that I'm her mother. She can open up everything to me. And of course, now it is the responsibility of a parent to create that bond and show her, okay, so how do you handle this and this? When a boy approaches you, when you go for school hangouts, how do you tackle this and this and that? And she will always tell me, Mom, I fear God. I know this is not the time for dating. I will just receive those letters and italenga, And I'm like, yes, she's working in the right way. But there is this part, yenye, it is an age. And it is she's in that phase that she will receive this and this. But how she's going to handle that, it is out of the conversation you have with her.
Florence Minor says being heard and accepted is one of the greatest needs in their relationship. When your daughter is opening up and sharing, be open-minded and non-judgmental as much as possible.
At this age, please be very intentional to know what are the voids that is in her. What are the things that she's looking forward to that maybe she has not gotten from your family, and maybe anaenda kuzitafuta nje, and in the process of looking for those things anajipata amekuwa compromised. But when you have what I called heart-to-heart talk, she will tell you, unajua mam nikigrow huku kuanga. When they begin to open up, you will realize this is what she has been lacking. Now, as a parent, where am I coming in? What do I need to give? Do I need to stop every other thing? Because there is a point. I left every other thing and I wanted to go with her to dates, kunywa chai, enda pizza, because I want her to feel that which she lacked when she was staying with my mom. kumbe bado ameka kwa mind. Ana feel ni kama that time yenye ulikuwa mbali, because there's a time I was working outside Nairobi and she was staying with my mom. Those few years, she felt my mom is so far. Kwani hanipendi? And now I had to recorrect that by making sure that I'm giving her time, I'm giving her attention, I'm showing her it is because of this and this that I was not able to stay with you. And now you come to a place of agreement that this is who we are and life has to go on. It is one thing to say she's born again, and it is another thing to see her manifest, what she's professing. Because I realized she's so interested that maybe I'm watching a sermon. She's there, she's listening, she's relating, she wants to know more. When I'm studying the Word of God, I always make sure she's there. She asks questions, I answer. And by that, I've realized she's interested in growing in the things of God. She wants to know what this scripture means. She wants to know, how do I walk, or how do I handle this when I'm in school? And by that, you see, in her heart, she loves God and she doesn't want to go outside the ways of God. So I keep on encouraging her, telling her salvation is a journey. We keep on working out our salvation, and every day is a day you can fall into temptation.
Just like any other relationship, conflicts arise between the mother and daughter relationship.
At her age, they are in a point where you are not telling them, this is that, you have to do this and that. You have to agree. Because this is the age she will show you she's maturing up and she can make decisions. So it is either you are going to use force and it becomes, it is going to give you a hell of time, or you're going to just sit and agree. No, we can do this and that and this and that, because she will tell you, you will realize she will prioritize her things. Maybe you're telling her to wash utensils, but to her, she wants to finish up something, then do that. So it is not that age that you must do this and that and that. You will allow her, give her time. At the end of the day, you will have whatever you want done. Without using so much force and so much, authority on her. And of course, in that time, she feels you are giving her liberty to make things in her own pace. Otherwise, you will fight every day if you want things done your way. It is now beyond that age.
The way mothers are raising their daughters is so different from how they were raised.
Your opinion never counted, I'm telling you. And actually, even the things that you thought are good to them, they weren't making sense. I remember when I was in primary school, I loved singing, I still do. My mother didn't want me close to any class, any music class, because she thought I'm going to divert my attention from studies. And now being so spiritual, she thought these folk songs, tunaimba kwa music festival, hazijaokoka vizuri, and she wanted me to sing gospel songs. And I was feeling, oh, but this is what I love doing, But now when I'm raising my child, out of experience, what I experienced, because I knew this wasn't fair. I sing till now. Like some of my kasukari nampelekeanga, it is from music. If she understood that from that point, she could have encouraged me to do what I love. So if I know my child loves dancing, I will just tell her, there are beats, kuna gospel beats unaweza dance to. You don't have to go secular. And I'll guide her. But now my mother was, you cannot do this. Now ukifanya hivyo, punishment. I was beaten every year. Sometimes you may want to raise them the way you are raised, but you will be making a very terrible mistake. The only thing, or the only way I have seen working when raising this kind of age, it is just being there. Be so friendly to them. The other thing I would want to emphasize on is raise a child in the ways of the Lord. The Bible says even the time they will depart from it, they will definitely come back, because their foundation was Christ. When they are rooted in the Word of God, even when a time comes when you are not there to monitor them, to know what they are doing, there is that, there is that godliness that is in them that will keep on reminding them you don't belong to this.
Some say a mother's treasure is her daughter, and others say while a mother's treasure is her daughter, a daughter's sunshine is her mother. For Dadas Show, my name is Miriam Asava.
Welcome back. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Dadas Show. And today's topic of discussion is mother-daughter relationships. Today, we want to learn a few strategies that mothers and daughters can be able to apply so that they can be able to have a better relationship or sustain a good relationship, and they can be able to interact better, not only now, but also in the future. Like I mentioned, we are hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. So joining me is Ebony Wairuri, who is the daughter in this particular duo. Karibu sana, Ebony. And next to her is her mother, Yvonne Mwangi. Thank you so much, Mom, for making time to sit with us today. And finally, we have Wangeshi Mushiri, who is a counseling psychologist. And even more importantly, especially in the context of what we are discussing today, she is a high school teacher but in an all-girls school, yes? So, karibuni sana, my wonderful panel. And of course, I cannot fail to acknowledge my awesome audience. And in this audience, by the way, this one for today, we have very many also similar duos, mothers, daughters, we have nieces, we have, even nephews who also want to help in this whole dynamics of a mother and daughter relationship. So, of course, I have to appreciate each and every one of you for making time to come and sit with us today. And I hope we all learn something. So to get the ball rolling, I'll start off with you, Ebony. Ebony, thank you so much for coming to join us today. And I'm so happy that you're here. But tell us a little bit about yourself. And introduce yourself to our audience here and the ones at home.
All right, thank you. Yeah. My name is Ebony Wairure. I'm year 10 and I'm 16 years old.
You're 16 years old.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So you're right there in the teen. You've just walked into smack in the teen world, yeah? So when we talk about mother-daughter relationships, do you consider your mom, Yvonne, your friend?
Yes, I actually do. I consider her one of my bestest friends.
Oh, that's nice. What makes you say that?
Because I feel like I can open to her about anything and everything.
Yeah.
I can tell her about school drama, what's bothering me, or who's bothering me, basically. I feel so open with her.
Wow, that's actually really nice. And I know there's so many young ladies at home who maybe perhaps don't feel the same way. So Yvonne, also introduce yourself and tell us, how have you been able to foster such a relationship?
It has been an interesting journey to have a daughter. I have to say it is wonderful. And for us to be able to have achieved what we have is mainly because it's something I learned that if you want to have a good relationship with your daughter, you need to start it from when they are young. Mm-hmm. It's not when they become teenagers, you decide, now let's become friends. You start from when they're young. So as you grow together with them, so that you understand every single detail about and every single aspect about their lives. That way, then you can then continue to generate the relationship. That's what makes it easier. Wow. So for me, it's because I made that conscious decision to continue knowing what's happening in my daughter's life, and I made sure that I was with her constantly. Yes, that's what actually helps. So it's that constant, you're constant in contact with your daughter.
Yeah.
That's why we've achieved what we've achieved.
I like that. So the investment is not something that you've started recently. And you see, the thing is, I think that's where most of the parents, not even just moms only, when the kids are small, you sort of think they're just, they're a blob. You think they don't have a personality, you think they don't have a voice. So you sort of negate that responsibility maybe to the teachers or to the nanny. And you only start getting invested in their likes and their interests and their personality when they get to teenagehood, without knowing how hard it is to actually shape a tree when it's already grown. Now, over to you, Wangeshi. Now, Wangeshi, you're not only a counseling psychologist, even if, you're actually a friend of Dadas Show. You're not only a counseling psychologist, but you teach an all-girls high school. And according to our 844, or rather the 844 system, there's the one that is running right now, children spend at least 3/4 of the year in school with you. So you are as much of a custodian as we are. So you're able to denote. Tell us, what are some of the telltale signs that a teenage girl or a young lady can present to show you that there's definitely something amiss? Maybe there are personal problems at home.
Thank you very much, Ashiko. My name, as you said, is Wangeshi Mushiri, a counseling psychologist and a high school teacher. I'm really honored to be here. For a second time, it feels really good.
Yeah.
One of the things that changes with girls or with teens generally is behavior. And it's really important to check on behavior change. You could observe them engaging in some risky behavior, like cutting themselves. That's one thing that's really common with high schoolers. That's something I've observed where I work. They also engage in some funny relationships. And this really is a sign that something is not really working or something is going on. You could also observe a decline in their performance, their academic performance. You could also probably notice some bit of isolation where they do not want to interact with friends or even family. They tend to keep to themselves and avoid social interactions. That's an indicator that something could be terribly wrong with them, and it's good to find out exactly why. Another behavior that you could observe is the change in their eating habits.
Yes.
Some will eat too much abnormally, and you'll have another group that probably doesn't eat, like they change. They were eating well before, and they suddenly change. There's a decline in the way they're feeding. Sleeping patterns. It's either way. They could sleep a lot abnormally or stay awake, or have insomnia. So those are some of the changes that you observe. You could also observe physical changes, like losing weight. That tells you that something is not working or something is really wrong. And then probably signs of sickness, like a headache, constant headaches, constant stomach aches, complaints of pain here and there. That could be an indicator that something is not working or they're going through some personal issues. So the signs are quite many, but they're very many. And when you're keen, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to notice that if especially you have a good relationship with your child, you will notice that there's a change in the way my daughter is behaving. There's a change in the way my teenage girl, my baby girl is behaving. And from there, then you can take action. Try find out, what is this that could be bothering my daughter? They're no longer behaving the same, you know? And if it gets to the worst, then probably seek professional help.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Wangeshi. Now, still talking about signs and signs that you can tell. Ebony, now from your peers, because this is what Mwalimu and Counselor Wangeshi can observe. From your peers in class, what are some of the things that someone can do that can make you wonder, is everything okay? Or maybe things you've witnessed?
You can say they start lashing out. You know, they're usually like so self-considerate of you, but then at one point they just start lashing out like all the emotions on you. You could just tell that there's something wrong with them, because why all of a sudden want to just be angry at you. Another sign is that they become so down. They're usually a happy, outgoing person, but then one day they just wake up and they're just so depressed, you know? They're not talking to anyone, interacting with anyone. They just seem so closed with themselves, and they refuse to open up. That's another problem that could be caused at home. Like, they're not able to open up to you as you are to them. Because as I'm with my mom, I'm very open, so I can be open with anyone, but them, they're not really used to that, so they can't be open with you whatsoever.
Okay, thank you so much. Yvonne, Ebony is talking about, you know, a very good relationship that you guys have had. How are you able, aside from being close to her since she was small? She's just mentioned right now she can talk to you about anything and everything. And I know that's not a case in, even for some of us grown daughters, you know, you feel like there's a certain extent you stop. Unaeka breaks, unasema, hapo tumezoeana sana, wacha tu niache. You know, so, and these are things that sip from your childhood and go all the way. And we are Africans at the end of the day. There are certain topics that have always been taboo. So it's fascinating to see Ebony saying, I can talk to her about everything, which of course we are, point of concern here is boys and what. So how are you able to create an open platform like that?
Okay, as I said, we started this relationship from when she was young. One thing I've always learned is if your child is able to come to talk to you about anything, even if it's about boys, you may feel weird. You might think, what's she telling me right now?
Yeah.
But in reality is you've got to allow her to express that point of view, regardless of how weird it makes you feel or uncomfortable it makes you feel. Because that way then she's able to have the confidence to be able to go and deal with that specific situation. Because, sometimes as young ladies, there's somebody who's trying to say, I want you to be my girlfriend or something. I have basically taught my daughter from a very young age, it's always books before boys.
Yes.
That is our motto at home.
Yeah.
So even if somebody comes and says, this is what I would like, she'll come and tell me, by the way, this guy came and said this and this and this. How do I go about it?
Yes.
And I'll tell her how to go about it. Not discourage her, not tell her no. No, I just simply say, this is what you need to do, and this is how you need to handle the situation. The other thing also I've done is you need to give your children freedom.
Yeah.
I'm not saying freedom to do miscellaneous things, but I'm saying freedom to be able to hang out with their friends and also then be responsible enough to know that this is a time I need to come back home.
Yeah.
Okay? If she says, I want to go to Sarit Center with my friends, find out who the friends are. I'm not saying get their phone numbers, but find out who they are. Even have them come to the house, get to know them for a few minutes, and then allow them to go. When they reach there, say, please call me when you reach there. When you're leaving, please call me when you're leaving. Simple things like those ones. Those basic things of, I want to know where you are. I don't need to know what you're doing, but I need to know where you are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying put spyware, no. Because that doesn't help. Because people
You're
have that.
preaching to the choir.
You know what I'm saying? Don't put spyware on your daughter's phone or whatever. No, that doesn't help because that, again, creates another problem.
Yeah.
Because now she might also get another phone or, so that doesn't help. Just know where she is.
Yeah.
That way, then you're able to know she's gone somewhere and she will come back.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. Again, until the age of 18, 19, don't allow them to go out in the there are these raves that happen
in the disco.
Leave in the days, whatever. Don't leave those ones alone. Let them, because you've got to understand that what goes on there sometimes is very adult. You don't want your child to see that yet. You need her to be at a stage where when she sees that, she knows, I'm not supposed to do that. But if you introduce it too young, again, that's where we're having this problem because your child is being given unnecessary information that she doesn't need at that specific age.
And she doesn't even know how to process
and how to process it.
Yeah.
How to process it. So you don't want to then allow them to see this. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but don't allow them to have that constant suggestion constantly running through your head. Because that suggestive information is amazing. It can be good and it can be bad. That's why sometimes they even say music. Listen to what they're listening to. Don't allow people just to listen to all types of music because that music is also very suggestive. So those are the things that you need to watch out for. And that's what I've basically done with my children. So that's how we've reached this part. That's why we're able to sit here together and smile.
And vibe.
And vibe. because that's what we've done.
Because
you see?
This is the interesting thing. So when we were having our briefing in the morning, and of course you have to touch base with everyone before I come and say, so Ebony, is your mom your best friend? I was like, she can come here and say no. But so I was so pleasantly, she's like, yeah, she is. And it was so effortless. So of course that, kudos to both of you for intentionally putting effort into making this relationship work. And I think even from what you're saying about the freedom, and I know most of us are parents, whether you're parenting a girl, whether you're parenting a boy, but sometimes more so a girl, because you keep on thinking about the big bad world and all the things that could happen to the child. There's a balance. And I want our counselor to tackle this one. There's a balance between, because I like how she's curated hers, but hers is coming from, remember, it's not a one size fits all. How she's been able to curate how to give Ebony freedom, but at the same time to also give her guidance, at the same time to also monitor what Ebony is consuming. And so how do you strike a perfect balance when mothering, let's even say a preteen and a teenager?
Thank you very much. How you strike a balance is basically what she said, she talked about her daughter, the way she's been able to do that. And what we need to do as parents is understand that we are different.
Yes.
We are different. In as much as they carry our genes, we are different. And that's something we really need to respect. And once you're able to respect that, for example, I could give a good example of, you'll find a daughter who's an introvert, born of an extrovert.
Yes.
So you can imagine before they get to an agreement, the kind of environment that's created. Before the mother understands that this is an introvert or this is an extrovert. I mean, let me give an example of the mother is introverted while the daughter is extroverted.
Wow.
So you can imagine striking a balance. It's really tough. It's something that you really need to sit down and think through it and come together and see how you can go about that. Also, it's important to be non-judgmental. When you're raising your children, judgment has to be thrown out of the window. You cannot afford to be judgmental. Things are happening out there. If you want your daughter to open up, you have to create a safe space for them to be able to speak, to be able to tell you exactly what's happening out there, so that you're able to advise and guide accordingly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wangeshi, especially on the topic of judgment. You know, we come from different generations, and I love the fact that we need to completely get rid of judgment first from different personality types. So if I'm an introvert and my daughter is an extrovert and I'm like, oh, you're kona kelele mingi, I find that is very judgmental, because this is somebody's personality. In terms of background, in terms of exposure, yes, this is your child. Yes, you birthed her. Yes, you've taken care of her since she was small, but you all have different levels of exposure. So this is TikTok generation. So we may not understand TikTok generation, but they were born into it, and this is something that is as normal as it was for us to meet on dates at Kenya Cinema. You know, so we need to adjust, we need to compromise, we also need to come from a place of no judgment. Before we go on break, Ebony, I want to ask you a question. If there's, what advice would you have for somebody who's 16, who's watching the show, and they want to have a good relationship with their mom, like what you have with your mom? What kind of advice would you have so that they can be able to, you know, have something similar?
I'd advise them, like, understand where your mom's coming from, like why they're acting towards you. Don't be judgmental. Like, maybe something's bothering her and you're not understanding that. I feel like you should just sit her down and try to communicate with her properly, like the way I usually come to my mom and just tell her everything. I just sit down with her, communicate with her, and see if you can understand like both sides. You understand her perspective and she understands yours. That's what I can advise you.
Wow, that's excellent advice. Ebony, you're such a wise young lady. You know, I think it's always important, even for the young ladies in my audience right now, it's always good. Every coin has two sides. And being a mom does not mean that you are an angel. It means that you also make mistakes. So sometimes, you know, when mom is tired and she's come home, and sometimes she's maybe her patience, her fuse is very short. And maybe she snaps at you, or, you know, sometimes understand. Don't say, oh my God, she hates me, you know. So, so I love that. So that's the advice that Ebony has for you young ladies, and those ones in my audience and those ones at home. Sometimes understand where someone is coming from. That is also known as empathy. Sometimes understand where someone is coming from. Over to you, Yvonne. So let's change it up. What advice do you have for mothers who want to have a relationship like yours and Ebony?
Okay, for the ones who are starting from day one, let's start off with there. Start the relationship from there. Start the relationship from when you've just had that baby. Communicate with that baby. Even though you're assuming the baby doesn't understand you, start from there. And then continue. Make time for your daughter. I know people, as you had said earlier, everyone assumes it's a blob. It's not a blob. It actually has feelings. It knows what it needs. So since you can understand between 0 to 1 year, you can understand what it is that they need, they start changing. They start developing things that maybe you didn't do or you didn't develop into. So when they keep changing, figure out what the change is about. The other thing you can also do is read. I'm not saying the books have all the information,
Yes.
but reading helps. It helps you understand your child and what she's going through. Yes, we all went through puberty, but their puberty is a bit different in the sense that they have more information than we did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are taught more. We weren't taught as much as what puberty we discovered as we went along.
Which is true.
So they have more information, so then you need to understand where she's coming from. I'll give you another example. When she starts her period, my daughter comes and tells me. Most mothers don't even know. They just get surprised. In fact, you're the one who's always asking, well, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to come to you and tell you, this is what has happened. Can you please buy the pads for me? That's the other thing that we have with my daughter. And this started from when she was from 13 years. So those are the kind of things that you need to do. The other thing about creating the relationship is also take a walk. You'd be surprised. Get out of the house. Just the two of you. Go shopping. Go take a walk just to the supermarket and come back. In those 10, 15, 20 minutes of that walk, your daughter will tell you things that will surprise you. You know? And I mean just the two of you, not you and your husband, and no, just the two of you.
Just the two
of you. Take a walk and you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Just getting out of the house, suddenly your daughter has changed and you're like, oh yeah, see, just now you weren't talking to me.
Yeah.
You know? And also listening, even if you're not in the mood to listen.
Yeah.
Even if the story is very long, just listen. Believe you, I'm telling you, sometimes you're like, why? Okay, is this ending? No, it's okay, sour, finish. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that you need to do. It may not be something that may interest you, but listen. You see, find out what are her interests. What does she like to wear? Even clothes. I know as parents, and this also has disturbed me, I'll tell you. Sometimes they dress. You ask yourself, where are you going like that?
Yeah. In whose house?
In whose house? But then again, remember again, there's somebody else out there who has dressed maybe slightly worse.
Yeah.
So you've got to ask yourself, okay, what do I do? Do I then tell her no? Then she will dress the way you want, and then as soon as she walks out the gate,
she changes. We did that.
Exactly, yeah. So what did you solve at that moment? You didn't solve anything. All you did was create another problem. So the best thing is, if I want to wear, so you choose which one. You either wear a short cut or a trouser with, these days everybody wants to wear here.
Yes.
So you pick one. So
it can't be both.
Well, it can't be both.
So you decide. And I love that, Yvonne.
Yeah.
So you guys have found, and that's why I reiterate again, you found a formula that works.
Found a formula.
And Ebony understands that. So she knows if I'm going to wear a tank top, there is no way I'm going to wear a miniskirt.
Exactly, yes.
You know, not in this house.
Not in this house. That's how it goes.
Not in this house.
So you pick where you're going to. So if you're going to wear jeans, you can wear that. If you're going to wear a short skirt, then you wear a long top.
Yeah.
That way it's easier. So you're still decent. You still want to be
fashionable.
But at the same time, you're decent.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things, those are the kind of questions. Don't say no, because no doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
Find a halfway point. Find a point that works. That way then both of you are comfortable.
Yeah.
That I think is easy.
I want you to tell me now. We've touched on a few things from the beginning to the end. Now you talk to me about now, the person who has been formed now. Because throughout you thought it was a blob that has hands and toes and eyes and a heart. Very cute blob, but now it's 15 years old and puberty has set in. We cannot decide to say, okay, just because I wasn't involved when she was younger, then I'm not going to be involved right now. What words of advice would you have for someone who's starting now?
Okay, for someone who's starting now, I would say start slowly. Don't rush it, start slowly. Remember, she's already closed off to you. So now you've got to start slowly. Start off with basic things. Ask her, what music do you like to listen to?
So get to know her.
Get to know her. It's like I wouldn't say dating. It's like you're dating your daughter. It's like you're dating your daughter. So you ask her, what kind of music do you? Yeah, I'm serious. What kind of music do you like? What kind of food do you like? What kind of, you know what I'm saying? Now you're starting a relationship with her again. Yeah. So you ask her those basic questions, and then you get to learn. Sometimes dancing together. Yeah, helps. Just create something fun together. Do activities. When you go out on an activity, let's agree we put down the phones. Yes. If you go to a restaurant, forget about the phones. If you go swimming, get into the pool with your child. Yes. I
So
know you
be
might
involved
be
even on the
involved
most basic
in the most
level.
basic level. Do those basic things with your child. Then you bring your child closer. Then one day she'll come up to you and say, okay, by the way, I need this, I would like this. It's not a matter of always constantly just giving someone money.
Yeah.
But then find out, okay, you want to buy something, what would you like to buy? Can I buy it for you? Can we go together? Can you show me what it is? You see, those are the kind of things. Since now you're starting later on, now you've got to actually start from square zero, dating your daughter if it's possible.
I love that, and that's why we're going to take a break on dating your daughter. You know, the guide for mothers and fathers, you know, all of us as we're there. And I love something that you have thrown in right towards the end about throwing money at problems. And we work so hard to provide for these kids, and we say they will never, ever, ever go through what we're going through. And so between lacking ample time, you know, to spend with them, what do? We overcompensate. We've all been guilty of it, me included. You know, you overcompensate, you say, I'm going to give this person this, I'm going to give this person this, without realizing that what they actually need is the quality time. So I'm very excited about this episode today, and we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back for the question and answer session. I know you have so many questions as you're sitting there at home and wondering, oh, can I get Councillor Wangeshi's number? Oh, where does Ebony go to school? What does she do? Can I meet Yvonne for coffee? She needs to talk to me. But we'll answer all of that when we come back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back to Dadas Show. So this is my favorite part of this show, which gives our audience an opportunity to interact with the panel. They also give us their thoughts, their comments. So this is my real-time social media right here. So if you're just joining us, our conversation of today is mother-daughter relationships. We've been able to hear from Ebony and her mom Yvonne, and we've also been able to hear from our Councillor Wangeshi, who has given us a few strategies on how we can get along. And of course, we know it's not a one-size-fits-all, but if you can be able to pick out something that can work for you and your daughter, then by all means do so. So to start us off on our question and answer session, we will begin with Nina. Nina is also in our audience, and she's come together with her mom. Like I mentioned, it's a mother-daughter special. So Nina, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. As she said, I'm Nina, and I came here with my mom, and I'm 22 years old. Backing on the mother-daughter relationship, as me being 22 years old, I'm so proud of my mom because, as you can see, I'm a result of her. Being the bond that we have grown since I was a toddler till now I'm grown, this is the result I am because of our bond, and I'm so grateful for her. And for me, being 22 years old, I know all of us, because you always say, like, since I'm on my 20s, I'm all grown up, I don't need my mom being there, I can do whatever I want. That is the biggest mistake that we all do. And later on we come and see that we made a huge mistake doing so. So what I can say is what made me bond with my mom until now I'm of age of 22 years old still sticks till today. Because as you can see, I'm still 22 years old, and I am a result of her bond when I'm still young and still getting the urge of being a young adult.
Yeah.
And what brought the bond, me and her, is, as she said, when I was small.
Yeah.
She was there when I was small. She took my stubbornness and everything. She was right there with me.
Yeah.
So, like, the bond between an adult, a young adult, and a mom, it should be still there.
Yeah.
It should not, like, go away because you're saying,
because someone is feeling like they're independent and
yeah,
they don't need
and you
mom
can do.
anymore.
You still need that bond.
Yeah.
Because still we don't know what's there.
Yeah.
We need them to tell us what you can do so we can reach there.
Okay.
Yeah, and still there's this thing that we have, like, since they are of age.
Yeah.
And you're in this Gen Z world, so they're like, our parents are not coping up with the Gen Zs, so there's this repelling. So what I can say is still, the secret is the bond. Because you see, for my mom, she was born in the 90s, and I'm born in the 21st century. The bond makes it easier for her to adapt what it is in the Gen Zs. You see, when we were bonding with your mom, when you are coming to introduce to her this new generation, she will adapt to it because you still have the bond inside it. Yeah. Nowadays, the parents, when you come and tell them you want to do modeling and all, they'll be like, no, modeling, no, ni. But for my mom, because we bonded, and she accepts everything that I do, beside for what she didn't know of their age. There was no modeling in their age. Yeah. So she was there, she was backing me up, everything I do, and I came to be of the brand ambassador and the face of EM Africa, but an alumni. Yeah. So you see what the result of bonding still when I'm 22 years old brought me to be where I am right now. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nina. So Nina celebrates the bond that she has with her mother. She acknowledges that it is because of that bond and the relationship that they have that has been able to push her to doing whatever she wants to do. So thank you so much, Nina. So I believe our question or comment is from Nina's mother, Florence.
My comment is to my own mothers. Tukue karibu na watoto wetu. Awe msichana, awe mvulana. Kwa sababu siku hizi mambo imekuwa mbaya. Na tukukua karibu pia, tuwaelekeze kwa kanisa. Pia wanapogrow wajue Mungu. Kwa sababu bila Mungu, huko nje ni kumbaya. Huko nje, na moso vile mwenzangu amesema, ujue akitoka nje, marafiki zake ni wangapi, ni wakina nani. Hata akiwa shuleni, marafiki zake ni kina nani. Kwa hivyo, wazazi tuko na kazi ya kufanya, tukue cross na watoto wetu. Kila chochote wanapitia, lazima atakwambia ukiwa cross na yeye.
Thank you so much, Florence. Mawaidha hiyo ndo inaitwa sasa mawaidha. Words of, spirituality is extremely important when you come to raising your children. From whatever whichever you profess to, whichever you confess to, spirituality is extremely important when you're raising children, because we say they are gifts from God. And some things are out of our control, so we always hope for God's intervention in their care, in their sustenance, in their growth and everything that they do. So asante sana Florence, Mama Nina. So our next question or comment is from Zawadi.
My name is Zawadi, and my main question is for us who have been born by mothers who have a very large age gap between us and them. Like, for example, I'll take my example. My mom, the age difference between my mom and me is 41 years. Yeah, and that tells you that there is a very big difference between what I have experienced in life and what she has experienced. So in as much as my mother will try to behave like she's understanding me, it totally looks like whatever she is saying and whatever I'm saying is totally different. So most of the time you'll find like we are at two different points, but being understanding as I am, of course, I always be like I'm on her part more than, but at the end of the game, I'll go out and do something different than what she expects me to do. Yeah. So you find like there is this matter where this parent is overprotective and has some rules, and there are those things that parents from 80s have, like those beliefs, like you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. And in as much as you like to do them, the world is different right now. So I don't know, in such like a case, how we'll deal with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zawadi, that's a very good question. Of course, the age gap does play a role. And especially nowadays, for the past 10 years or so, maybe, 20 years, give or take. Actually, yeah, give or take, yeah. There's been a lot of change, especially in the technological world. And of course, some of us people grew without cell phones. But as we were on the tail end, so there are those ones who did not see their cell phones on their teen life, on their adult life, and it's something. So, and then there's a generation of Ebony, there's a generation of Nina that have been born, and there was a cell phone, capturing her moments, every moment. So, of course, there's bound to be a little bit of discord. You're right. You are talking about completely two different things. I'd like our counselor to tell us how because they do happen. People are having careers and maybe choosing to have children later. It's happening. So people are having children all the way till their 50s, and they're supposed to, and they're allowed to. It's within their rights. But how do these duos have a normal relationship? Normal to whatever extent normal is.
I would say this calls for a lot of self-awareness from the mother's part, especially because, of course, it begins with the mother, and it begins with the mother being self-aware, because in this case, the child will still be young before the child grows up and is able to understand. Self-awareness whereby you understand that there is a gap.
Yes.
And there's a real gap. Actually, the generational gap is really an issue, causes a lot of friction. I've also experienced the same, coincidentally. There's a difference. There's a difference of 37 years between me and my mom. But somehow she was able, I think because of her profession, being a nurse, she was able to come around and understand. And also be able to understand where I'm coming from, put herself in my shoes at some point, also read a lot. There's a lot of information out there that will make you understand what this the current generation is all about. In as much as they might not access the social media, there's the mainstream media that gives a lot of information. There's reading a lot. It will help you understand where your daughter or your son is coming from. So I would say a lot of self-awareness, a lot of understanding that you're two people from totally different worlds, and you have to come to a point where you try and meet. In as much as you cannot completely agree with each other, it's important to try and strike a balance between the two of you. Try and strike a balance and see how the relationship works. And when the children grow older, just like you said, you also have a bit of understanding. Like you said, you're able to understand your mom, and to some extent, you even make sacrifices.
Yeah.
Just not to break her heart,
Not to break her heart when she's not understanding.
Yeah, when she's not understanding, you really try.
Yeah.
So I would say it calls for a lot of understanding. Actually, I hadn't looked at it from that view, but it looks like you need to work harder. When there's that kind of gap, you need to work harder, and you need to work harder and be able to strike a good balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I agree, we need to find a compromise, a level plan. Yvonne, would you like to add something on that particular matter? Yeah.
Zawadi, as your name says, you're a gift. So that alone should tell you the fact that your mother named you that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
It meant that you were given to her and she's grateful for that.
Yeah.
Maybe she may not know what to do because now that you're older, you see, when children are younger, it's easier. Don't do this, don't go there. It's easier to, it's much easier to control them. But once you get older, then now the child has also become self-aware. The child also has opinions. And now that's where you start differing. Because now she's saying, at my age, I wasn't doing that. But remember, at that time, half the things that we have or they had, they didn't have. So everybody has different things. Yeah. You see, because back then it was only the telephone. If it was in the house, that was it. Now you have a mobile phone, you can go literally anywhere. And she will still find you. So you need to also then maybe give her the comfort of knowing that she can trust you.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I think sometimes we lack as parents. We don't trust our children. We think that because maybe at that specific time, maybe we're getting into mischief, we might think our children might do the same. Believe you me, they do not.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that one has hit a nerve. Oh, wow.
Okay.
I think it's true because most of us do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you know that when you were 19,
Yeah.
when you were 18, you were jumping over the fence,
Yes.
going for the hang,
Yes.
and you're doing this. And now your child is 17, 18, and you are looking for all the signs. And, so I think it's important to honor each and every person's journey.
So that's what needs to be done so that it's trust. Can she trust you? If she says, can you be home by 8? Are you home by 8?
Yeah.
If you're going to be late, have you called and explained, I'm going to be late because of the following reason? Those are the things that now will make her relax and realize, oh, I did bring up my daughter well enough to know and well enough to inform me. So that's how you start to do that relationship.
Wow.
That way then you remove the panic. You see, I'll give you an example. Yesterday we went with my daughter to see some friends of ours in Imaradaima. As soon as we got there, we finished eating. Within 20 minutes, my daughter has already found a friend.
Yeah.
I've never been to Imaradema, but she's already found a friend. And she says, can I go hang out with her? At that moment, I had the decision to say no, because I don't know who the friend is. But then I said to myself, why should I say no? She's here, she has a phone, she's responsible. And she went. She met her friend met her at the gate. They went to Villa Franca, had a good time. We picked her up from there and we went home.
Wow.
Simple.
That's nice.
Trust.
Yeah, trust. So
and when she said where she was, I found her where she was.
And she kept to her word. Thank you so much, Yvonne. And I think that's the thing. I think, dealing in a world where she's not understanding half of the things that are going on, not for lack of not trying, because it's a different time. I think it's to assure her and reassure her that, you know what, I know you don't understand how this ABCD works, but this is what is happening, and you can believe me, you did your job. So thank you so much, both of you, Yvonne. I hope that has answered your question, Zawadi. So very hastily, let's move on to Veronica's comment, very briefly, kindly.
My name is Veronica and I'm 18 years old. And speaking about mother-daughter relationships, I can actually relate about having a relationship with my mom. At first, it was rough because we would clash a lot. And then COVID came, I was at home, my mom was working at home, and there was a lot of disputes between the both of us. And we had to make peace. So in the process of us getting to make some peace at home, because it was a little bit of an unbearable for the both of us, so we had a lot of family time, and sometimes we would talk together, and we would do some activities together, even to the bare minimum of going to the kitchen and having to cook a meal together. And it has been amazing since, because now we have that bond between the both of us, and it's so helpful to the both of us in whatever we are doing, even though it's different. I have put it in my place to be in a position to support her in what she's doing. When she comes at home from a bad day at work, I'll be there and make a meal for her. And, we'll get to engage and we talk a lot together. And she has also supported me in what I'm doing, even though it's a bit different from what she's doing, and it's amazing. So all in all, it's just to get to understand that your mom is different from you, and you're also different, and come to a point of appreciation of who this person is in my life, because,
Wow,
you guys.
That's really good. That's so helpful, by the way, and I think that's very important, especially. And I'm sure wherever your mom is and she's watching you, say that, she's having a moment of pride where she can be able to say, you know what, I raised that girl well. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing. So kudos to you for being able, for nurturing and fostering a good environment for you and your mom to get along. So our final question or comment of the day is from Emily.
Thank you so much, Ashiko. I would like to comment Ebony and Yvonne for coming. And I just want to comment on intentional communication. Actually, where there is no communication, there is no relationship. If we look at Ebony and her mom, the relationship is very strong and warm because of intentional communication. And good relationships are generational. That's what I wanted to comment.
Yes.
I'm very sure the way Yvonne will treat her children is in the same way or similar way in which the way Ebony is receiving the relationship from the mother is the same way she will do to the children. What are we doing to our own mothers as mothers that our daughters can see?
Yeah.
I just want to give this example. The way my daughter treats me, the way we communicate, the way we relate, I look at some similarities in the way I treat my mother. Intentional dating, when I go to see my mother, she also wants to find time for me. So I just want to comment, this is the last thing, and the first thing I'll say, intentional communication.
Yeah.
Communication builds relationships.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Emily, that's the perfect way to sum up the show. Intentional communication and being intentional with everything that you're doing. So we have come to the end of today's interactive and insightful episode. So my 2 cents on all of this is life can create a significant strain on any bond. And the mother and daughter relationship is not an exception. So it takes a lot of self-work, it takes a lot of courage, and it also takes a lot of intentional effort, just like what Emily said. So that was intentional communication. Now we're talking about intentional effort to ensure that you can nurture a healthy, respectful relationship with your daughter. For moms, please remember that the relationship that you have with your daughter right now is going to dictate her identity. It's going to dictate her self-worth, and it's also going to dictate her future independence. And for daughters, practice gratitude, practice understanding, practice empathy, because these are the things that you're going to pass on to your children. So on behalf of the production team at KBC, my location partners, Best Western Hotel, Nairobi, here in Upper Hill, and myself, Ashiko Mbune, I wish you all a lovely week wherever you may be watching us. We will catch you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.